Today's nail lacquer is Sally Hansen's Together Forever, part of the Diamond Strength line. A barely there sheer pearlescent pink. Barely there because I only applied one coat, and because the entire line of Diamond Strength colors no longer appears on the company's website. So much for Diamonds Are Forever. Hi, I'm Irene, and this is Inkworks, where I often art and share anecdotes. Think of this as the dusty parlor where your elderly aunt breaks out the photo albums and foists baked goods on you. You don't want to hurt her feelings, so you humor her and choke down that dry, crumbly banana bread with a grimace. This video is a continuation of the previous Purples I Have Known and Loved. No, that wasn't the title, and I don't love all of the inks, but it would have been a good hook, yeah? It's a delicate balance trying to be attention-grabbing without being rage-inducing. So often it's either snorri-borri or clickbait of the gods. I like to think my titles are somewhere in the middle. The last installment of Color Family fountain pen inks covered the blue-leaning purples in my collection. This time, it's the red-leaning purples, starting with Airband's Poussière de Lune. I saw the swatches online, fell in love with the shade, and had to have it. It didn't hurt that the name, Poussière de Lune, makes me giggle. Things are a tad hazy, but I believe this was my first full bottle of purple ink. While I still love the color and the name, Poussière de Lune, there are now other purple inks that I'm more attached to. Rose Noir is from Monteverde's Noir collection. I was thrilled when this was included in one of the True Fay subscription boxes. If you like dark, moody shades, this might be for you. It's actually very similar to Poussière de Lune, but I think I prefer Monteverde's formula. Chameleon, also from Monteverde, is another dark, plummy purple shade. Nothing really notable there, except maybe the depth of saturation. So those first few shades made me think of plums. I love plums. That fondness may stem from the fact that, while growing up, we had an Italian plum tree in our yard. It was great. If we couldn't wait, we'd eat them firm and tart, with a dash of salt to distract from the mouth-puckering unripeness. If we were patient, we'd get them when they were sweet and juicy, with a dash of salt for that winning sweet and savory flavor combo. If we weren't on the ball, however, the plums would fall to the ground, bruised and covered with gorging bugs. What's with all the extremes, man? From boring to baiting video titles, from blue to red purples, from underripe to overripe fruit. We need more happy mediums. Amethyst is from Pelikan's premium line called Edelstein. Maybe I'm a pushover for solidity, but the full-size, hunky-chunky glass bottles they use for these inks really appeal to me. Admittedly, I like any ink bottle that can double as a paperweight. Imagine if Sidney J. Musburger had one of those things. The Bumstead contract would never have flown out the window, and Norville Barnes would never have become president of Hudsucker Industries. If you're completely lost, go watch The Hudsucker Proxy. It's my favorite Coen Brothers film. Sure, they created classics like Fargo, The Big Lebowski, and No Country for Old Men. But do any of those movies have a dream dance sequence set to Bizet's La Habanera? Rohrer and Klingner's Magenta is less dark and more vibrant than the previous 4 inks, while scooching into clearly reddish territory. By the way, not all plums are purple. The Japanese ume plum is green. It's often pickled and called umeboshi, or made into wine and called umeshu. You might be thinking, but Irene, umeboshi are red. Aha! Gotcha! Not so fast, because natural colorants are added to achieve that red color. So, in your face. With Pilot's Iroshizuku Yamabudo, the color is noticeably warmer than the very cool R&K Magenta above it. Yamabudo seems to be very popular, and I get it. It's eye-catching and bold, without the aggressiveness of pure red. I've actually just checked the leaderboards on the Fountain Pen Companion site, and Yamabudo is ranked as the most popular ink, meaning more of their users own it over any other ink. You know, I think I did a decent job of sorting my inks, because Noodler's Black Swan in Australian Roses is a smidge cooler than their Nikita, which began the Red Inks video a couple of weeks ago. Speaking of other videos, I have a bunch of ideas for upcoming content that includes a return to the Magello Journal watercolor series. Viewers have said they miss it, so I'm going to whip out the palette and see about adding some more Mission Gold pure pigment goodness in the near future. I want to thank everyone for watching this channel, whether you're here for watercolors or fountain pens or just some company. I appreciate you spending time here. Everyone wants to be heard, right? And it goes both ways. So post your feedback. This is an introvert telling others to not be shy. Oh, the irony. Atramentis' Magenta is actually a bit cooler than Black Swan, but it's on the bottom because it has pearlescent copper shimmer and a hint of green sheen. That stuff only shows once the ink is dry, of course, and wow, it is stunning. Look, all of these inks are lovely, and these brief samplings don't give them justice. For that reason, I may try a different format for the next installment, one that will hopefully show the colors better. By the way, shout out to Heather Taylor at Heather Taylor 5870 for rekindling my nail lacquer obsession. I'm going to quote a portion of her comment. I've been a follower since nearly the beginning. You used to always give us the name of the nail color you have on with each video. I miss those reports in the commentary. End of quote. Okay, I'm going to confess. I'd lost my nail confidence after biting them off a couple of times. That's the downside of being a horror movie fan, or a mystery movie fan, or an action movie fan. The thing is, I have a box full of old nail polish bottles stored in a drawer, just waiting for their day in front of the camera. So beware of the return of today's nail lacquer is... All of these reddish purples make me think of lipsticks. When I was small, one of our neighborhood's Avon ladies would come over with her product case and sell her wares. I believe that thing was company issued because it had a distinctive turquoise pattern and looked very much like a suitcase. I just figured she had to go to the airport after she was done with us. That was the 1970s. They don't use those cases anymore, and I'm pretty sure they aren't called Avon Ladies anymore either. Actually, I don't know that. Maybe someone more knowledgeable can set me straight. The point is, she would whip out the sample case that was filled with mini-size lipsticks. To my eyes, they totally looked like they were for kids, and I was mesmerized by it. All those shades of pink, coral, crimson, mauve, and plum were quite the temptation. No, I never knocked over the Avon lady, snatched her sample case, and ran from the house yelling, "I've got all the shades!" That's not to say I didn't think about it. One of the best things about those visits was getting the latest product brochure. Mom would dog-ear the pages and circle the items she planned to purchase. She didn't have a lot of possessions, but there was one drawer of her dresser that held her treasures. Things like costume jewelry, scented lotions, and patterned scarves. And several items from Avon's Bird of Paradise line. The packaging was beautiful, and while she did use some of those products, the molded soaps never touched water. I can't count the number of times I slid open that box, snuck a peek at the pretty bars, and sniffed the scent that was both spicy and floral. Those are sweet memories, but sad too. I wish she'd had more joyful things in her life. I'm happy to share this ink swatching session. There are people who have more inks, and there are people who have fewer inks. And to be honest, this exercise is more about helping me assess my ink collection than about being of service to others. Not saying I don't hope it's useful for you, but there are resources out there that are really helpful. For instance, a couple of websites, Mountain of Ink and Fountain Pen Companion. Mountain of Ink is a blog with a large library of ink swatches and analyses. Fountain Pen Companion is both a database and a tool to catalog your fountain pens and inks. I've found uses for both, but I visit Mountain of Ink more often. Until next time, remember to visit your elderly aunt. She gets to gab for a while, and you get a little more informed. Or, at the very least, a carb boost. Win-win. And stay artsy, my friends.